Swear to God, I'm taking over 19. Hey, back, hit a $250,000. When it's here, pretty chilly. I've been trying to find me really wow. Silly, yo, I be gone like Cheerio. Really though, swear we finna get the gold. You the goat, but the most been getting old. Standing still, yeah, I'm getting way too cold. Like it's uno dos, I go single on these hoes. Doesn't songs, doesn't shows. Guess that's just one way to grow.
Hello, welcome to Dynasty Degens. We are on to our Rookie Profiler series right now. So if you're listening for the first time, this is the Rookie Profiler series, and this is how we break down all the prospects coming up, NFL projections, and all their attributes and everything that I think could translate to the next level. Before we get into that, I want to introduce my guest today, Mr. Wyatt B at WyattB_FF on X. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Pretty darn good talking to you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's been almost a year since I had you on a pod. I think It was probably, I was looking at I actually just posted a year in review. So it was like all of my introductions with all the guests, and you popped on there, and I was excited that you're going to be coming on today. So this full circle.
It's been too long, man.
Yeah. So I haven't got into it yet, but today we were covering TreVeyon Henderson. So it's going to be the running back out of Ohio State. Just to get into a couple of things with him. So he's a senior, 5-star recruit. He's coming in at 5'10", 202 pounds. Profiles as a workhorse back for me. Rookie breakout season was massive. I think that's really what everyone is still holding on to. Obviously, he's shown and flashed and had a good comeback year last year and stuff like that. But that rookie breakout is, very unique, very one of a kind. He actually busted for 1,284 yards, 19 touchdowns. So that was just straight rookie year. And then in 2022, 2023, he did come back from injury. In 2023, he had a shortened season, but he still pulled off 926 yards and 11 touchdowns. And then we saw what he did last year. He came in the back. He's with Keyshawn. And I think he just really, it was perfect for him because he was not considered the lone back there. He didn't have to do all the work. And it really made him shine and really showed his pass catching abilities more than anything else. But I think he just showed that he's very capable of carrying the workload after a couple shortened seasons. It was really nice to see him go a full season. So last year he did 926 yards, 11 scores, and that's what sharing a top tier running back there. So he obviously had somebody that is pretty much going in maybe the first round with him if the NFL sees it that way, But it's, I love this guy. I'm a Devy guy. I came in loving TreVeyon. He's somebody that I was extremely high on when he came out, and people don't remember this, but it was TreVeyon and Bijan. And there was the discourse of who was better, who's the RB1 in college right now. And everyone had TreVeyon over Bijan, like hands down. He was like, when they were coming out, they were like, okay, he's going to get drafted over Bijan. He's definitely the RB1 just because of that rookie year. Everyone was just like, oh, he's locked in. There's no way that he can mess up the value. Obviously, he lost all of 2022 and then came back, and he still had that explosiveness. He still has that agility, the ability to just burst. He didn't lose that at all through injury. So, he's got excellent acceleration. He bursts through the hole. We'll get into everything like that, but his pass protection is probably the best out of the class. But you handpicked this guy, Wyatt. You seem to, I know that you love him. I know that he's probably your RB1 of the class or RB2. I'm just making guesswork right now, but you went right after him when I asked who you wanted to cover. So just go into what you love about his game and your favorite attributes that you think could translate to the NFL.
So first thing with Henderson, I think, is just understanding his path to this point, because it is one of those things where if you just pull up the stats, it looks a little bit rougher than it really was because of the path. And you kind of spoke on, true freshman just busts out completely. And like you said, people are talking about this is the guy, he's going to be RB1 whenever he comes out. We're expecting that. Deals with the injuries. That's unfortunate. Doesn't end up coming out as a junior, even though he was kind of expected to, even with those injuries, because people still knew this is a talent, right? decides to come back to school. I'm assuming he was getting some money to come back to school, right? If we had to guess. And then Ohio State also pays to have Quinshon Judkins come in. They more or less bought him to help them win a championship, right? Like they knew Judkins was in the portal and they said, we've got some money. Come on over and play with us. So like while they played together and Judkins got more carries than Henderson did, I don't think that means that like necessarily that Judkins was thought of as the better prospect. They just thought we're going to make the best offense we could. And this is the best way we're going to use these two backs in tandem, right? So just getting that out of the way to start. But then you just look at Henderson as the player and his elite long speed out there on the field. Now you look at the 40 time he got, and obviously the 40 time was a little bit disappointing based on like his game speed. But that's the thing, like his game speed is elite. And even if you look at the 40 time and what it is, he recorded the second highest mile per hour that was recorded during the 40. So like we know the speed is there, right? And you mentioned the size. It's a little bit smaller, but not small enough that you worry. Like this is still real size that we think that he can handle a large workload. We saw him do that in college. And I think he's a really good receiver out of the backfield. He's not at the level of like an Alvin Kamara or CMC or something like that coming out of college, but he is better than most college running backs as a receiver. And I think he especially excels on things like screens and dump offs where he can kind of get just working off to the side and finding the open lanes to just use that speed down the field. He can still work past the line of scrimmage a little bit, but I really like the way he works on screens when he can turn up field. As you said, probably the best pass blocker in the entire class. Like despite his size, gets up there and stonewalls defenders. Like stuff that really gets you excited. Like I even tweeted about this the other day, like watching running backs like that in pass pro lay the wood gets me so excited because like those are the players, those are the dogs, you know, that I want on my team.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, that's exactly what I've said on many pods before. It's like, I want to see you smashing into guys. You know, I love the elusiveness. I really like the quickness. You know, if you're fast out of the hole, he smashes people and then he bursts through the hole at the same time. Like he'll hit you and then he's still out there in the cut, like able to take a dump off, or you know what I mean? Like he will handle his business, but still be in the play. Like he doesn't have his pass protection take him out of the line of fire, you know, so to speak. Like he still is involved. You know, I've seen him smash a dude and then get through the cut and get a pass and run it for 8-9 yards.
And
He's
one of these dudes, I think that, you know, you look at like missed tackles forced, and maybe those numbers aren't so high for Henderson, but that's also a product of him not letting people even touch him. Like that's one of the things that I think you get missed when you look at just like missed tackles forced, and even by attempt sometimes. There's players like Henderson that use angles and their speed so well that players just don't touch them on certain plays, right? The breakaway run percentage is awesome. You see this like over and over again with him. He's picked up these massive chunk gains in addition to the big play potential. I think he's perfect fit if he finds his way into a Shanahan or Kubiak type of offense that uses that wide zone scheme where he could really hit the jets and be off to the races. He's probably better as like a 14 to 18 opportunities per game kind of guy instead of like the 20 plus. But we're okay with that. There's plenty of running backs in fantasy that don't get the 20 plus touches per game and still do what we want because they're so efficient on their touches. And that's who I think Henderson's going to be.
Yeah. And that's the way the NFL is shifting anyways. You know, like we're not seeing a guy that gets 25 to 30 carries a game anymore. It just doesn't exist. And then there's the hyper efficiency, like the Gibbs style, you know, like he is almost split backfield with Montgomery, but all he needs is 10 touches, you know, 11 touches. I think you're completely right in the fact that he needs a good zone, like a zone scheme offense, you know, like a Buffalo Bills type, you know, like I think I talked about the running backs that probably aren't safe that people think are safe. James Cook feels like everyone thinks he's safe, but I don't think he's that safe, man. Like I could easily see them snagging up a TreVeyon Henderson to pair up with him and cut into that workload that he has. But yeah, he is a complete back for the size that he has. Like he does everything fairly well, you know, and he doesn't have any soft spots in his game. I think he's a juiced up Tajay Spears, like somebody that doesn't have, like he has the injury history. Everyone's like, oh, he's an amazing catchbacker. Like, but he comes from a better school. He comes from a more like, it just like has that pedigree that Tajay did not particularly have. Like he just, he didn't really carry that. But I think, I don't want to undersell him because I think he's a better Tajay Spears in that sense. But like he's a better catcher. I think he has that ability to just really work as a receiving back at first, and then probably maybe open up to more of like a complete usage. But I think I see him as like a 2-down back to start. Like he'll probably come in for pass catching and be worked in as like a maybe on the outside in the slot sometimes. Like I could see him just being all over the place depending on the team. Is there anything that you see about his game that you think might be an issue? Like as far as anything that he doesn't do very well that you've caught on tape or analytically that you see?
Yeah, first I want to say I like the like souped up Tajay Spears comp a good bit. The thing that stuck out to me, and I mean I'm terrible at player comps, I'll admit to, because I'm not a film watcher per se, but to me he reminds me of CJ Spiller a little bit.
Sure.
That straight line explosive speed, get him out in space kind of thing. But in terms of like weaknesses, I honestly don't think he really has many. I think like the biggest weakness that you could give him is that he probably shouldn't get 20 touches a game in the way that the most elite of elite running backs do, or 20 opportunities a game. And he probably should live in a little bit lower range of opportunities to fully utilize him to his best abilities. But if you're talking about like what weaknesses exist for him, it's hard to really pick one because he works in a lot of ways. Like perhaps could struggle a little bit in some short yardage plays. If you're going to like really nitpick about what he does best, maybe we could see that being a weakness for him when he first gets to the NFL. He might not get used in all the short yard situations. In fact, I probably wouldn't use him in all the short yard situations to let someone else take those really tough runs, let him work more on the outside. But other than that, like I do see the full package here. It's just he might not be a 20 touch per person or per game person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is his durability. I think even though he did have that full season, he had that full season sharing the backfield, like people say he can't be a full, workhorse, but we just alluded to, like, there's not really a workhorse in the NFL anymore. Everyone kind of has a part.
Very rare.
Yeah. And they're moving away from it. These guys like the Henrys and stuff, like, I guess Barkley's probably the only safe one that you can say is probably going to get 20, and he's 22 freak, catches. And yeah. I was talking about it on a pod a couple weeks ago, and it's like, I would love to see, we talked about the Shanahan offense and everything like that, but like, man, imagine him on the 49ers, like when they're kind of moving off of CMC, they just opened up, the RB2 spot over there. And then just having that insurance, like they could run both of those guys out, spell each other a little bit, keep them both healthy, and then elongate CMC's maybe career. Definitely for the year, it would help him out a lot. And then they would have his replacement essentially in place that has almost, I wouldn't say the same skill sets, but he's pretty close as far as how he maneuvers and what he does in the backfield. Like we can, I'd like to see that. Is there any spot that you'd love to see TreVeyon as far as, I know we talked about open zone schemes and stuff like that, but any particular pick that you think like really fits him? Because right now I think he's probably a second rounder, like early second rounder.
Seems that way now.
Second mid, possibly. It's kind of hard. You never know, man. It's just so hard to predict these running backs right now. But I can't see 3 running backs going in the first round. But I'm gonna say never until it happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of 49ers, like, I mean, what is he? He's like the Charizard version of Eli Mitchell. So like that one makes a lot of sense too, right? Like that type of runner, that type of athlete, he does make a ton of sense for Shanahan. Like I mean, that's really just the kind of spot I want to see him land. Is any team that is running that wide zone running offense more often than not. I think he's going to fit right in to any place like that. Like I said, the 49ers make a ton of sense. He might not be the best year one option for us if that's the case, because I imagine they're still going to rely on CMC a good bit, but I do think like that's on the last legs. Hopefully he lands somewhere where he gets immediate opportunity. I'd like to see it. I think there's still a chance he goes first round. Like that was kind of like the projection right as the season ended, was like possible late first rounder. Omari and Hampton, I think, possibly ended that for him, and that's why like entering the draft process, Henderson was my easy RB2 to Ashton Genty. I do like.
Wait
I
a second.
respect it.
Before you get into your rankings, I
Sure.
am going to kick it over to Fast Draft right now, and then we're gonna cover our rankings. So I want to see where he's at as far as your rankings go, and where you project him, RB3, RB4, or whatever it is. But before that, I just wanted to plug him and say that if you ever want a chance of getting TreVeyon Henderson and you don't have your rookie drafts for quite a while, the best opportunity I've been doing, I think that Wyatt's been doing as well, is we've been kicking it over to Fast Draft. So they have an Origins draft, which is rookies only. You have the opportunity to build a portfolio, to adjust your rankings, to get shares of these guys that carry over. And there's good ORI in there, and you essentially will pick up these guys. You can go draft as many times as you want. You're plugged in. I have a guy that can explain it a little better than me, so we'll kick it over to them, and then we'll come right back.
Rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Jimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies, and use your favorite player profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Yes. So drop our promo code if you sign up. If you're a new member over there, drop promo code DGEN, so DEGEN, and get a $25 match in there. But sorry to cut you off about rankings.
Gotta talk about
let's get into that real quick right now. So, all right. Do you have Hampton? So I think it's just cut and dry. Genty number 1.
Yep.
Right.
Respect to Genty. Right.
We go in Hampton number 2.
So right now for me, I would say is as close as possible. Like it is literally 2A and 2B with Hampton and Henderson. Going into the process, it was Henderson for me over Hampton, but same tier. But right now, because it seems like Hampton is a locked in first round pick, possibly even top 15, he's getting mocked that way right now. I'm giving the respect to Hampton and putting him as my 2A to Henderson because of that. If Henderson does go second round, Hampton first round like that, I know like we don't want to be slaves to draft capital, right? Like we want to still hold true to our analysis of the players going into the draft, but that kind of draft capital difference between them when they're already close prospect wise, it guarantees Hampton a level of opportunity that it doesn't guarantee to Henderson. So I just kind of like break the tie slightly in that way. But if it's first round for both of them, it's going to be Henderson for me above Hampton.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Hampton for me too. And then I think the question mark for me is Judkins or Henderson. I do view both of them to be profile as very good running backs in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They kind of have almost the same skill sets in various different sections of the analysis ways, but I think it's Henderson has the higher floor and Judkins has this. Okay. Henderson has the higher ceiling and Judkins has a safer floor to me. So it's like where all of this is practice, right? And then we really get to break it down when we have the team and we have the DC and we have everything. Yeah. It's so funny that we can go through this stuff. Like we can break down a prospect all day, but then when we come to rankings and projections, I don't want to say that we're going to be like the landing spots end all be all and whatnot, but with running back, it is, man. I hate to break it to you people out there, but it's like we see the zone fits, we see the schemes. You know, we knew that Gibbs probably had a better chance of outproducing Bijan his first year or two, and that was just kind of the way it played out, and that's how it happened. So it does matter, and anybody that says it doesn't, you want to take the talent, but man, you gotta take that into like you gotta bake it into the whole idea, you know? So there's that tier right there of those guys, and I think they can leapfrog either one of them depending on where they land and where they go ultimately.
I do really like Judkins too. I personally have him a tier below Hampton and Henderson. I think while he tested incredibly well athletically, I think you don't see that level of athleticism from him on the actual football field. Like, not saying he's a bad athlete. Like, I just don't think he's what he tested as. Like, you see the run in the national championship where he like wide open lane, middle of the field, and he gets caught. Like, Henderson's not caught on that play, not a chance is he caught on that play, right?
Yep.
And I do think like there's a decent chance that he's just a 2-down grinder in the NFL where he's just playing first, second downs. You never really see him on third down. He's not incapable of third downs. It's just, I think that there will most likely be someone better than him on third downs on any roster, just in general. So for that reason, like, I think he's just solidly below Hampton and Henderson, but that's how good this class is. Like, Judkins is RB1 in a lot of classes, you know. It's so deep. It's so good. It's an exciting time if you want to draft running backs for your dynasty teams. As you said earlier, like, veteran running backs, watch your back. There are very few that are safe right now. We have to be prepared for a lot of backfields to get blown up that we didn't expect.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of guys that kind of get pushed out of favor. The veteran running backs are probably going to get blown up a little bit. We're also going to see a lot of these guys. Like, we're not talking about guys that are going to get blown out either, but the back end, like the tier 3 running backs, like the Caleb Johnsons and all of them could easily just like get faded out of value altogether. You know, like, we're seeing these guys going in the second round or the early first, or sorry, the end of the first, the late first. And we saw this all the time. You know, we see this with running backs that, you know, we value them highly until we see that they're going in the 4th round, 5th round, even though there's still value there nowadays in the NFL. It's hard to, after that second tier, anything can really happen to this class. Some people just get blown up in draft cycles. It's
also a really interesting dynamic when it's such a good running back class. If teams look at it as, we can wait on running back because we know it's so deep, and perhaps running backs don't get the draft capital you'd think they would because teams are waiting. And it's something like we'll never really know in that way. Like, teams don't just come out and tell you like, oh yeah, we had a 3rd round grade on him, but we thought we could wait till the 5th. So we did, and we got him, you know, like that just rarely doesn't happen. Right. So it's going to be hard to say. And that's one of those things you're gonna have to analyze. Like, when Caleb Johnson is taken in the 3rd round instead of the 2nd, like, is that because teams were waiting because they thought they could, or is that because they thought he was actually just a 3rd round pick? Is when Bashal Tutin goes day 3 instead of day 2 after testing so well, is that because teams thought they could wait, or because teams always thought that's where he belonged? The testing didn't really matter, you know? It's gonna be a really interesting class.
Yeah, and it's tough as a dynasty guy because you had this system in place and you had this idea that this is how it goes, and the draft capital is really dictating how much they value these guys. But we're not seeing that anymore at all in the NFL. And we're seeing like the Bucky Irvings and these guys that are going super late, getting the run, you know, and they're being used. And whether it means that they're being used as a stopgap or they're just taking guys to hopefully wait through this year or, you know, a year where they see a better draft class. But I'm very curious to see how this plays out. And I think there's going to be incredible value in rookie drafts all the way down the board. If you have a 4-round draft, I think you're going to get a starter in the 4th round in this draft. Like, I think that's just how it's going to be. You know, because I think there's just going to be too many guys that you're like, okay, he went there, boom, boom, boom. Like, it's like you're going to be throwing darts everywhere. And I think there's going to be a lot of value. But anything you want to add on to TreVeyon before we sign out of here?
He's an awesome pick. You're going to be happy if you draft him.
That's it, man. Yeah, definitely leave some of your drafts with TreVeyon. And it's just hard. I want to not hone in on one guy, and I want to have like a plethora of hits, but you find these guys like, and you have the TreVeyons, and if you're looking at them and there's a couple other guys in that range right there, it's going to be really hard not to take TreVeyon over, you're right, like a Judkins or I mean, there's still that mush of a tier after we get past these 3-4 guys right now that probably aren't going to be there. But between Hampton, Judkins, and TreVeyon, they're all within 3 or 4 picks of each other. They're going back to back to back. And whether Cam Ward's big pro day and if Shedeur Sanders shows out a little bit and boosts the stock, who knows how that's going to change things. But for right now, they're all like in that mid first in rookie drafts. So
I'm honestly hoping that Shedeur gets drafted really early and people draft him early in the first round of Superflex drafts so that I can get Henderson later.
I think it's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. You're
I actually
gonna
do
see
think he's going to go early.
Yeah, he's gonna go or early. He's gonna hit. I mean, it's gonna be the Browns probably, unless some movement happens. It's more than likely that they're.
It really does sound like the Browns and Giants do not plan on leaving the first round without a quarterback in one way or another.
Yeah, so I mean, we could even see everyone's talking Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart could slide all the way up there and go pretty early and be one of those surprise picks in the first, and everyone's going to be like, okay, well, he got the DC. Then we see Jackson Dart going in the first of rookie drafts too. So we could be looking at incredible value. We could be looking at Hampton at 104, 105 and TreVeyon at 107, 108. And
I'll take
Judkins could be all the way with a couple wide receivers in there. He could be looking almost in the second at one of these guys that we're talking about right now. So it's wild. I can't wait. Or I could just, nobody could get value and we could just be like, yeah, well, it was fun talking about
the landing spots. Who knows?
Yeah. But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you joining us. That is Wyatt B at WyattB_FF on X. You can find him and formerly JWB, man,
Formerly, yes.
But not a homeless man for long, I'm sure. You're definitely going to find a home out there very soon.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us, and then we'll catch you guys next week for the next profile.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Right back to business as usual. Straight out of what's under my cuticle. I blocked it, they picked up my coffin. Ain't it funny how